Hi guys, and welcome back to Good Steward Homestead. It is the Saturday morning, the 21st, and I am out here. We're about to start building on our 6x6 greenhouse that will be our milking shed, and I hope we can get it done pretty quickly, and I'm hoping that I can videotape some of it. I've even got my milk braids going on today. But before we get down there, I'm also hoping that we can show you how we milk Boudicca. My sister is currently trying to round her up, and I'm probably going to have to go down here and help her because Boudicca doesn't like being handled a whole lot. I'm a little stopped up this morning, so I might sound a little funny, but it's because of my allergies. I've already sneezed twice and started coughing as soon as I came out because of all the pollen. But I did want to also show you a quick look at our garden because it is really starting to take off now that we're getting into the hotter temperatures. And so I'm going to turn the camera around. It doesn't want to let me do it while I'm videotaping. Whoops, I just took a picture. So I'm just going to have to turn it around like this and let you guys see. So in this bed and the bed there are our watermelons. They're sugar baby watermelons. Oh, yeah, this one and that one. And then in the next beds, we have some Cherokee purple tomatoes here and our straight neck yellow squash in that one. And over here, oh, and that with the fence panels, that's our pickling cucumbers. And then our last bed that's got something in it right now, this is our German Johnson's tomatoes. So you can see how everything's just starting to take off. I'm already seeing blooms on things. I just had to put some 7 dust on them because I noticed that there was signs of pests, like insect pests on them, and I really didn't want that to happen. I don't particularly like the idea of using chemicals and stuff on the garden. I like to try and keep it as natural as I can, but when that's what you have on hand, unfortunately that's what you got to use. So that's what I had on hand to control pests, and so that's what I used. And so hopefully that will take care of everything, and that will protect our plants from any more insect damage, and it'll be all good. So I'm going to walk down to the goat pen now and hopefully be able to videotape milking Boudicca. But like I said, it looks like I might have to help catch her first. And this is kind of the irritating part with working with Boudicca, is because she likes to run. She does not like to be handled at all. Now she's gotten to where she will tolerate being on the milking stand, but she just does not like being handled at all. So she's always kind of a pain to have to catch and then put on the stand. So let's get down there and see what we can do. So here we have Aoife, is one of our females. She's a little brown one right here, and that is Boudicca. That's the one we're trying to catch right now. You can see my sister with her shepherd's hook, trying to get her, and this is how she behaves when we try to catch her. So it's really a pain in the butt. And this is our milking stand with our milker and our wipes. So I'll show you that really quick, and then I'll get in there and help her. So this is our goat milker. You can see it's got 2 connectors for the teats, and then it's got a hand pump. And what it does is that hand pump creates a suction up against the teats, and then it puts it into this jug. And there's Aoife. She is a sweetheart, but she's also a spoiled brat. But this is our, and you can see our little wipes right there to wipe off her teats before and after we milk her. But this is our milking stand. We built this out of used pallets, and because Boudicca's head is kind of small, we have this head gate here with this hook, but because Boudicca's head is so small, we often have to tie it shut right at the top of her head so that she can't get her head out of it. And this is her little container with her grain. So she's gotten good about getting up on the milk stand and letting us milk her. And oh, and another thing about this milker is that it goes really fast once you get that suction. But there she is. There's the troublemaker. And I don't know if you can see it. Maybe I can videotape it in a little bit, but you can tell how small her teats are. So this milker has been a lifesaver on our hands because her teats are just so small. So, and then, so this is our doe pen set up. This is our big doe pen. And that was our makeshift birthing stall out of pallets and a tarp. And so that's where our babies were born. And we're hoping that we have EFA bred now, but we'll see if we were successful or not. Right now I haven't seen anything that would indicate that she's pregnant, but we'll see. And then I wanted to show you our little cute goat farm sign on our doe pen. But anyway, so here's the troublemaker. Let's see if we can get her caught. All right, so we finally got her. Let's take a look at her. Hi, Trouble. She is a very pretty blue-eyed girl. She's got these really pretty little moon spots. And you see how skittish she is about me touching her. She does not like being touched. But there she is, and you see how we have to tie her closed up here, keep her head in. So now she's just cleaning her teats under here with a wipe, cleaning her udder as well. And you see how small they are on her. And then she's cleaning off the I'm not even sure what you call those parts.
Teacups.
Teacups. I just call them the suckers. The sucker things. And then you can see how she's pumping that thing to try to get some suction. And it takes a minute or two to create that suction. But once we do, you'll see that milk start coming out through these tubes and into the container. And you can see it right here. Let me see if I can zoom in. You can see that this one doesn't have any milk in it, but this one does. That white stuff is the milk coming through. And sometimes, there we go. Now she's letting it down for us. Sometimes she won't let her milk down for us to be able to milk her. But you can see how it just goes into the container there. And once you create the suction, you don't have to pump it anymore. You can see she's not having to pump anymore because once you create that suction, it's good. And it just pulls that milk out. But that's it, you guys. That's milking. That is milking Boudicca. Look at him. Look at that pretty moon spot. But there you go. She's eating her grain, and we're getting the milk. And let me pan over here. You can see our one of our boys right there. That's our boy pen. And Boudicca's kids are all the way up there in the other pen. So we can show you how we feed them here in a minute. But that's milking Boudicca. That's how it goes. All right. Okay, so we're coming up on the kids. You can already see them in there. This is Ben and Bethany. Bethany is the one with the white on top of her head. And we're about to give them their bottle. So let me go around here and see their bottle there.
You ready for breakfast?
So the one on the fence is Bethany with the white on her head, and the other is Ben. So there's Ben feeding. Yeah, Ben can be a little greedy when it comes to eating. But you can hear their daddy down there. He's being impatient for his breakfast too. Well, Bethany, you just stepped in the way of the camera.
Oh, you don't need to suck on my fingers.
She's hungry. She's hungry for breakfast.
There's nothing
She says, "I'm hungry for breakfast." Now they are already eating a little bit of hay and grain, and they drink their water, of course, but they do still get bottle fed twice a day. And he's had about half of that thing now. So
hold on. Here you go, baby girl.
So now we'll see if we can get Bethany on there. There she goes. And you see how Ben acts. He's a little bit greedy when it comes to food. And
he's like his daddy that way.
You can see he's got his little milk mustache that he's still licking off his face. So now it's Bethany's turn. And you see this? You little greedy. He wants that bottle so bad. Now Ben tends to be our lovey, except right now he's being a little butt. But most of the time he's our snuggly lovey. Bethany tends to be a little bit spunky, like her mama. Oop. She's gonna take a break for a minute. And you can see her barely see her little milk mustache going on her bottom lip. There it is.
There is nothing coming out that end, boy. Quit headbutting it.
He really wants it.
Okay, I think she's done. So
she's done, so he'll finish it up.
Hey, sweetheart, I have to go get y'all some grain.
But yeah, they are eating straw and grain. And you can see we've thrown in a limb so they can eat some of the leaves there. Mr. Greedy, he just loves it. He loves it.
Okay, baby boy, that's all of it.
That's
it. And get any more.
And look at his little.
Good job, Bobos.
You can see his little milk mustache on his bottom lip.
Good job, Bobos.
But there you go. That's Ben and Bethany. She looks like she's got her tail dipped in white paint. And they both have frosted ears. And Bethany has a few little tiny moon spots. She's got one little cute one on the other side on her back hip. And we pick about that being her beauty mark. But, and this is our kid pen. You can see how we've had to put wire around the bottom of it so that they can't get out the bottom. And then we took an old pond tub. Let me show you that. We took an old pond tub and cut a hole in it so that they can get out of the rain and weather. And so that's what keeps them out of the rain and weather. And this is their pen. We've talked about getting... Hi, Bethany. Hi, Beth. Hi, Beth. And you can see they can get their bottom head out of the bottom holes, but they can't get their shoulders and all past that. So, hi, Ben. Hi, Ben. Hey, buddy. Hi, buddy. So both of their babies are blue-eyed like them, and they both have horns like their parents. So here's some straw for them, and we'll get them some grain in a minute so you can see they investigate and eat the straw. That's their mineral container. And we, like I said, we had talked about getting like one of those little toddler outdoor play things to put in here for them to jump on and everything, but they jump on this all the time, back and forth playing. So hi, you guys. Hi, babies. Hi, babies. So that's our baby goats, and that's how we... Hi, Ben. There's nothing in that. There's nothing in that. You... What, Beth? What, Beth? What, Beth? Yeah. There's nothing in those fingers, Ben. There's nothing else in there. So he's like our other boys, where he is just a lovey when it comes to getting scratched or rubbed on. He loves it. Hi, Beth. Hi, Beth. Hi, Beth. Yeah. Now we intend to keep both of these babies. Oh, they're separating. Oh, there you go. Now you can see. She's going to be a loudmouth now. But you can see they jump on top of that. But we are planning on keeping both of these babies. Bethany will become one of our milkers and one of our mamas, because we can breed her to our male Fergus. So she will be bred with Fergus, and we'll get some pretty babies out of them. Fergus is our black male. Oh my goodness. They're going to get loud now. But she will be kept as a breeder. When she's old enough, we'll breed her with Fergus, and we'll be able to milk her too. Now, Ben, on the other hand, he will be weathered, which means that we will put a band on him where he can't reproduce. And he will be kept. Teresa's bringing them some grain now, which they like to eat as well. But Ben will be weathered, and we're talking about actually keeping him with the girls as an indicator, because Aoife in particular is very, very hard to tell when she goes into heat. So we're planning on keeping Ben with the girls possibly, and he will help us to know when the girls are going into heat. So he'll be our indicator weather. That will be his job. His other job will be companion. Because goats are herd animals, then it puts them under stress when you separate them and keep them by themselves. So it's always good if you have goats that you have more than one, so that they can stay together. So Ben's other job, besides just an indicator for when the girls go into heat, his other job will be companion. So if we have to separate girls and boys and things like that for breeding purposes or whatever, then he will go with the goat that gets left alone. And he will be their little buddy. He'll be their companion. And that's really for example, when we have to separate one of the males and one of the females for breeding purposes, they'll have each other, but then the others won't have a companion to be in the pen with them, so that they don't get lonely and they don't get stressed. So that will be his other job. Now, since we do have Bethany now, more than likely when we use Ben as a companion, he will go with the other male that's being left alone. So again, that will be his two jobs. Is he will be an indicator for when the girls go into heat, and he will also be a companion for the male that is not getting to breed at that particular time when we're separating them for breeding purposes. So anyway, that's our girls, or that's our babies, and that's how we milk Boudicca and how we feed the babies, and that's what our intended future plans are for the babies. And now we're going to move on to trying to put together a greenhouse. Okay, so now you get to see me in all my coveralls glory. And I'm sorry about the sun being right behind me. That's just how it's going to work out. So a few weeks ago, I ordered a 6x6 polycarbonate greenhouse kit off of Amazon, and our whole purpose in this greenhouse is that we are actually going to be using it as a milking shed. And I thought this would be easier than trying to build one or buy an actual wood shed or something like that from Lowe's, because those are actually a lot more expensive than this, and this will serve the purpose just fine. I expect this not to last as long as a wood shed or something like that would, but for our purposes, this will work just fine. It's got an aluminum frame on it, and it's polycarbonate panels, like the little plastic see-through panels. And really the reason that we wanted to have this is because, and I really hate this sun, you guys, I'm really sorry, but the reason we needed this is because Teresa needed to be able to get the milking stand and all of that into a dry place so that she can come down here and be able to milk the girls when it's raining or when the weather is not that great. She can come down here and milk them in a milking shed and stay out of the weather and keep water from being able to get into the milk and all that bunch of good stuff. So this will help that with that. And it doesn't I have some landscaping fabric that I hope to put down in the bottom of it, and then maybe cover that with pine shavings or wood shavings or something like that. Maybe we'll even go with cedar shavings, because cedar will help keep insects and and that sort of thing out of everything. And I also want to get a greenhouse thermometer, like I bought for the greenhouse that we're going to have for an actual greenhouse, just so that we can keep an eye on what kind of temperatures that we have down here in this greenhouse slash milking shed, because we're really hoping that we can store some of the grains or something like that inside of the greenhouse as well, to keep them out of the weather, and that sort of thing. We're not going to be able to put a lot of stuff in this greenhouse slash milking shed because it's only a 6x6, so we'll have enough room for the milking stand and just a few little odds and ends, and it'll be enough room to be able to milk the girls in when we need to. And hopefully we got EFA bread, but we'll know in about 5 months whether or not we were successful with that. So in 5 months, it'll be really good to have that milking shed because it's going to be really hot. And this milking shed, and you can see it, the boxes behind me, I haven't unpacked it yet, but this milking shed also has an air vent in the top of it. So if it does get really, really hot, then we can open the doors and open that air vent to let the air flow through it, and that will help with that. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see if there's anything else we need to do with it. But this is kind of just a trial to see if this actually works for us, and if it doesn't, then we'll have to come up with something else later on. I won't be able to videotape or record the whole entire process of putting it together, just because I am still using my phone for videos, but I hope to be able to stop periodically through each process and show you how the progress is coming and what it looks like, and that way you'll be able to see what our greenhouse milking shed looks like, and we'll update you on the progress of how it's working, and the pros and cons, and what we are learning from using this instead of an actual wooden structured shed or plastic structured shed or metal structured shed. We'll show you, we'll see how this goes. Eventually we might replace this with an actual wooden shed or metal shed or something like that, but this is what we have right now. This is the option that we went with, that we want to try, and we'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. So it came in 2 separate boxes, and we started to open it and to work on it yesterday, or my sister did, but she was reading the instructions and it said it takes at least 2 people to build. I'll see if I can't link put the link to Amazon to what we got in the description for you guys so you can see what that is. Maybe you want to look into it. They got different sizes in this kit, but it came in 2 boxes, and it takes 2 people to set up this 6x6 greenhouse. And also, it says that it takes 5 hours. I hope it doesn't take 5 hours. I really, really hope it doesn't take 5 hours because there's a lot of other things that we need to get done today. And I'm supposed to be going over to my best friend's house this evening just to spend some time with her and her little boy. So I really hope this doesn't take 5 hours. But we'll see how it goes, and I'll let you guys know if it actually took 5 hours or if we were able to do it faster than that. And then I can also give you guys the pros and cons of how it was to put together, how easy it was, how hard it was, that sort of thing. And I think right now my sister is working on feeding the other animals, so I'm gonna get started here and she'll probably join later. All right, let's go. All right, you guys, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, and I'm already tired. So far, we have the front part assembled and laying on the ground. We are working on the back section right now. And I can already tell you a few things about this kit. The kit says that it takes 2 people to put it together, but quite frankly, I think you need a third just to help hold the panels up as you assemble them and slide your polycarbonate into place. The instructions themselves are a little confusing because you're pretty much building everything opposite of the way it's going to be put together. So that part's a little, I'm trying to think of how to, like the instructions have your left and your right, but it's actually, you're actually looking at the inside of the wall when you put it together. So it's going to be reversed when you turn it around. And that was kind of, that's throwing us off as far as putting these panels together, because it ends up being the opposite of what you think it is. So the instructions are a little bit confusing. And then just getting the polycarbonate panels in the channel correctly, that has been really, really annoying. But this back side, now that we did the front side, the front of the greenhouse, and it was a really, really big pain in the butt to try and put together. The back side is going together a little bit smoother now that we kind of have an idea of what we're actually doing with it. Because like I said, the instructions themselves are a little confusing because everything ends up being backwards from the way you're putting it together. And you can see my hair is just a mess. Ugh. And we're trying to do this, we're also trying to do this kind of quickly because it's getting close to lunchtime and it's starting to get really, really hot out here, and we're starting to lose our shade really fast over here. We also have realized that this greenhouse is 6 foot by 6 foot by 6 foot in the center. So it's going to be really short, and there's not going to be a lot of room in it because we put the base pieces around the stand, the milk stand. We're essentially having to build this around the milk stand because the milk stand is too big to go through the front door of the greenhouse. So I kind of wish I had gone with a little bit bigger size, but we're gonna make this work. But like I said, we may have to go with something different later on in the future. And the wind, we got a nice breeze, so I'm just gonna apologize if my phone gets knocked over from the breeze. But so that's how it's going. And I'm gonna step over here and grab you guys. And yes, I look a mess. a hot mess, and just show you what we've got. This is the front panel laying on the ground, with the door in it. I've got a roll of landscaping fabric here because as we start to set this up, I'm going to put the landscaping fabric down first, and then we're going to have to assemble the 4 walls. And here we have the milking stand, and I don't know if you can see these base pieces around the bottom. That's about how big it's going to be. So she's just going to have room for her, the goat, and the stand inside this greenhouse. Alright, and then if I pan over here, this is the back panel that we're currently working on. We have the frame pretty much assembled. We haven't taken the white film off the polycarbonate panels yet, so we haven't taken those off yet. That's why it's not clear like the front. But we'll be sliding those into place here in just a little bit. My sister has actually gone to the store to pick us up a loaf of bread so that we can make sandwiches for lunch, because she didn't eat breakfast and my breakfast is running out. I had oatmeal and a cup of cappuccino for breakfast, but our breakfast is my breakfast has run out and she didn't get breakfast, so she's gone to get us a loaf of bread and some sandwich fixings, and we're going to take a break long enough to eat a little bit. And I've already gone through 1 big bottle of water out here, and I am working on a second. That just goes to show you it's pretty hot out here, and I have already sweat through the clothes underneath these coveralls. I've already sweat through them, so it is very, very hot. And I guess I'll take a moment to explain to you why I wear these coveralls when I'm outside, especially down here at the goat pens. The reason I wear the coveralls is this year we are having a really rough time with ticks down here. We've considered free ranging our chickens for a little bit just so they can eat some of the ticks, because I don't remember them being this bad in previous years, but they're really bad this year, and I think it's because we had such a mild winter. I mean, we had a few cold days and everything, but it never got cold and stayed cold down here in North Carolina. So our ticks are really bad, and we've already had to knock some off of our clothes and everything. So that's part of the reason why I wear the coveralls, is to try and keep the ticks from getting in under my clothes and everything. The second reason that I wear the coveralls, even though they're really hot, is that we have quite a bit of poison ivy growing down here, because it's the lower half of the property is still kind of a wooded area. And we put the goats down here to try and help clean some of that up. But the older I've gotten, the more sensitive I have become to poison ivy. And it's one thing for me to get it on my arms or my hands or something, but not more than a month ago, I had a very, very bad poison ivy rash to develop on my chest, which wasn't very pleasant at all, as you can imagine. So now I am wearing the coveralls to try and keep any kind of poison ivy, poison oak. I don't think there's any poison sumac down here, but there's definitely poison ivy down here. And since I have gotten to the point where I'm so sensitive to it, I am trying to keep it off the main part of my body. And the coveralls also keeps me from being able to touch any of this area if I have the poison ivy on my arms or my hands. Like I said, if I have it on my arms or my hands, that's one thing. I just don't want it. I don't want the poison ivy in any of this general area, because that would just be totally unpleasant, and I've already dealt with that one time. this year, and I don't want to have to deal with it again. So that's what the coveralls are for. Yes, they're hot. Yes, I'm sweating through them, but I would much rather do that than have a poison ivy rash, because I've already done the poison ivy rash enough this year, so I don't want it again. And like I said, it's one thing for me to get it on my arms and hands. It's a whole nother thing when you start having poison ivy rash pop up in other places. I've already been through that. Don't want to do it again. So I am wearing coveralls. And then these will need to be washed. That's one bad thing about this is that these coveralls will need to be washed before I wear them again. So I've already anticipated having to wash them quite frequently, but that's okay. I'd much rather wash coveralls over and over and over again than to have to deal with a poison ivy rash. So now you know what the coveralls are for. It's because, like I said, as I have gotten older, I have become more sensitive to poison ivy and poison oak and those sorts of things. And it also helps to keep any ticks or anything from getting in under my clothes, which I realize, you know, with this being short sleeved and everything, I still have to be careful about my arms and all, but the most of my body is covered with the coveralls so that those little critters can't crawl in and get to places where they don't need to be. So that's the whole deal with the coveralls. It looks like Teresa just pulled back in from picking us up some sandwich stuff, so I'm gonna stop videoing for this portion and go get some lunch before we continue on. All right, we'll be back. Okay, you guys, so another update to see where we're at. You can tell behind me we've got the sides framed, the front and the back are on. We've got the side panels, the polycarbonate panels to put in. And it is starting to thunder and get cloudy, so we're running out of time. And we're tired and exhausted and probably gonna have heat exhaustion by the end of this because we are both very, very hot. It's been a scorcher, but we're gonna keep forging on and trying to get it done. So again, this is what it looks like so far, and then all of this has to be lifted up over the stand onto, and we put some landscape fabric down to help with weeds and grass growth. So we got that going on, but we're gonna have to lift this whole thing up and set it over the milk stand. We thought about possibly doing the base first and then the roof, just to get that done, but I think we've changed our minds and decided to go ahead and follow the instructions and do the sides first and the roof and then the base is what the instructions call for, because we tried to skip ahead earlier and it didn't quite work right. So I think we're gonna follow the instructions and not skip ahead. So anyway, this is where we're at so far, and hopefully we get it done before any storm hits or anything like that, because it is definitely moving overhead. Sorry about the light. I know the light's kind of funny up here, but it's just what it is. But anyway, so that's where we're at. We'll see you in a little bit.
2,000 years later.
Hey you guys, so now that we have a break in the rain, I thought I would walk down here and show you the finished greenhouse milking shed. It is Monday. We built it on Saturday, and I didn't get to film the finished look Saturday because we did not get done with this thing until 11 o'clock at night. That's when we finally got everything done and got everything finished up, and we're back inside the house. It was 11 o'clock at night. So when the instructions called for 5 hours and 2 people, that's what we expected. But what it ended up being is 15 hours and 2 people. And let's just say it didn't go well. So the thing with this greenhouse kit, I will go ahead and tell you, and I'm getting a little sleepy. It was an early day this morning, and so I look a little sleepy. But the thing with this greenhouse kit, I will go ahead and tell you that I will not be buying another one. You saw in some of the other recordings and everything as I went step by step that, and you can hear the babies hollering in the background. That's who that is. But you saw there several times that we were getting very frustrated with this kit. The instructions were not the best. The instructions were not the best with this greenhouse, and then on top of that, we kept having problems with it not being, here I gotta switch hands, with it not being square, which really was a problem when it came time to put the roof on and try and get the polycarbonate panels on the roof like they were supposed to be. It may start raining here in a little bit, but you guys, this thing was a headache and a half to get together, and by the end of it we still couldn't get it squared up properly, but we at least got it together. And then we couldn't get it squared up on the base properly, so we ended up doing the best we could with what we had, and I am telling you what, it was not worth the money that I spent on this thing. But we are making do with what we've got. We were at least, I think, able to get the roof together well enough to where it won't leak too bad, hopefully. And so we're still going to use it, especially after we spent the money on it. But I'm going to turn around and let you guys see it, because it's going to be behind me. So there it is, you guys. That is the finished greenhouse milk shed, and you can see the milking table in there. You can see the sliding door. Let's see, yeah, there we go. So that's it, you guys. That is our milking shed, and I'm going to stop here for a moment and turn the camera around so that you can see it from a different angle. Okay? Alright, so here it is from a straight on shot. You can see again the milking table, or the milking stand in there. You can see the door and the air vent in the roof. And we'll walk around this way, and I'll actually go in the pen. You're going to see Aoife eating out of the straw trough. That's Aoife and our little goat sign. Hi, Aoife. Now, she may or may not let us in here, and it is. It's going to start raining on us. No! Okay. I'm going to have to come back, you guys, because it is starting to pour rain. But anyway, I wanted you guys to be able to see it. Here it is. Yay. But again, it was a pain in the butt to get together. So I'm going to stop the camera. Okay, so I am having to book it back up to the house because it is starting to rain again. It has been raining all day, non-stop. And the garden needs it, which is great. The garden needs it, but it just kind of puts a damper on me being able to film anything, because all I have to film with is my phone and a selfie stick right now. So yeah, let me get back up here under the carport where it's dry, and then we can talk more about the construction of this thing. So, like I was saying, okay, dry. So, like I was saying, it took us all day, you guys, to get that thing done because the instructions were so confusing. The pictures weren't that great, and nothing was lining up like it was supposed to. So it was rough. The only time we stopped, we got started, or I got started at about 8 o'clock was when I took everything down there. And then Teresa fed and watered all the animals, and then she milked Boudicca, which was the video that you saw at the beginning of the film. That's what I started with, was her being milked on the stand. And then that's when we started putting the greenhouse kit together. So that was about 8:30 when we really, got started. And then, like I said, we didn't get done until 11 o'clock at night. And we were tightening the nuts on the bolts with the flashlights on our phones. And that's all we had. That's the only light we had for like the last 2 hours was our cell phones, and using the flashlights on our cell phones. Oh, it was a mess. We both ended up having some heat exhaustion that we had to deal with. Oh, the temperatures dropped, and now it's made my nose cool and cold and red. But yeah, so we both ended up, because it was so hot Saturday, we both ended up suffering from some heat exhaustion, unfortunately, and we were drinking water like crazy. We did stop for lunch for about 20 minutes. We stopped and ate sandwiches, and just tried to get something into us. But the rest of the time we were just working like mad, trying to get this thing together. And we were having to take frequent little, 5-minute breaks here and there because it was just so hot and we were getting so sweaty. And I ended up with this massive blistery heat rash, which was just extremely uncomfortable. And it's going away pretty well. I'm keeping it dry and giving it lots of air. And so that's healing really well. But I did have just a massive blistery heat rash from that day. And then Sunday we both woke up so sore, and especially Teresa, she is still having a rough time because she is limited in her physical ability, and that was probably way too much for her to be doing. And so now she is paying for it. And I don't know, like, she's doing a lot of sleeping and a lot of resting, because that really was just a lot for her to do. And bless her, she really she just powered through to help get it done. And so we both did. And I'm still sore. I'm especially sore in my shoulders. I'm especially sore in my legs and my knees. They're still pretty sore from all of that, but we're surviving. But Teresa in particular is having a rough go of it, just because that was probably way more than she needed to be doing. But she did it, and we, like I said, we powered through and we got it done. So yeah, that 5 hours and 2 people turned into 15 hours and 2 people. And then as soon as we got done at 11 o'clock, we were back in the house, and we both needed showers. Neither one of us had supper, so but by that point I think we were just way too exhausted to even bother with eating anything. So we just took our showers and I went to bed. But like I said, we both ended up with heat exhaustion from that day. So I at one point when I did go to bed after my shower, I laid down on the bed and immediately started shivering because my body was just so exhausted and every joint was hurting. And so I just laid there and shivered, and I didn't feel cold, but I guess because my body temperature had cooled down enough from what it had been most of the day, I just shivered. And then, so yeah, it was rough. We probably should have had a little bit more help than what we did, but sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. And so I ended up getting back up, taking some ibuprofen and putting on some muscle rub, and was finally able to go to sleep. But we did Sunday. Sunday we just took it easy. Stayed home from church, and just kind of took care of each other and just kind of licked our wounds and rested. And because let me tell you that those polycarbonate panels that make up the greenhouse, them things are sharp. We both wound up with little bitty cuts everywhere. This right here was because one of the corners, I was taking the film off, the protective film off the polycarbonate, and it slipped and the corner got me right on the jaw. So that's what that is. And we both wound up with several little cuts and things like that on our hands and all. But you know, nothing serious. And as far as the heat exhaustion thing, we just drunk a lot of water. We had some leftover Pedialyte in the refrigerator, and I sipped on some of that to replace those electrolytes and everything. And she had some of that Life Water stuff that's got the electrolytes and the pH balance, all that stuff. So she was replacing electrolytes too. And so that's how it went, and you got to see it. And I was going to give a link to that greenhouse kit in the description. If things had turned out well and it went together easy, I would have, but since we had such trouble with it, I was just like, you know what, never mind. We're going to make it work for now, but eventually we will probably have to replace it, because like I said, even now it is not exactly squared. It's together enough not to leak, we hope. But that's about it. So it will serve its purpose for a little bit, but we're definitely going to have to look at a more permanent solution later on. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Check out our Facebook page at The Good Steward Homestead, and we'll see you next time.